Hi. Hi, thank you very much. My name is Astok, and great to see you. And I'd like to provide you a little bit a background also, and put it to a context, what is actually going on the cities globally. And let's just look to the megatrends a little bit. Okay, sounds beautiful. So there are several megatrends what we need to consider when we are looking at the city's development, and definitely the first and the biggest megatrend is definitely urbanization. So look at this map. This is the picture how the world looks like in 1951, and the red areas are those countries where the urban population was major, and the blue one is where the rural population was major. So you can see even Estonia was in those years already pretty urban. Is there someone who has born earlier than 1951? No. The world was totally different. So, but look at this picture and how it has changed actually. So you can see that during almost 70 years, most of the world has turned urban. So this means that the rural areas are pretty empty globally, and most of the population is living in the cities, and most of the productivity is made also in the cities. And look and how it will look like after 30 years. It's even much more. There will be just few countries who are just rural countries. Most of them be urban. And let us look to another slide also. Here we can see how our population is spread also between urban and rural areas. So we can see that those dark red countries already, there is almost 90% of the population is already urban. And after 30 years, it will be much more urban. So what it means? It means that most of the business will take place in the cities, most of the people will live in the cities, and most of the services will be also used in the cities. And this is the big challenge for the cities as an infrastructure, and for the companies also to provide those services both directly to the citizens and to the cities. So what is the next megatrend? There's a climate change and demand for more resources. There is a demand for more energy, because there is almost 7.7 billion people globally. They want to use electricity. Nordic countries want to use heating, but more and more southern countries want to use cooling also. So you can imagine what kind of demand for energy it means globally. And also almost 8 billion people want to eat also. Every day they want to eat 3 times per day. So you can imagine what is now the challenge to produce more food. And definitely here in well-established countries, we already like to have everything organic, everything eco. But how to produce it in a way? It's a huge challenge. And also, what does people want to drink water? They want to go to the toilet also. And if you imagine that almost 7.7 billion people want to use water toilet, I don't know even is it doable. And finally, there is a shift in global economical power. Those guys playing important role. From the left guy, we at least know what to estimate. From the right side guy, we even don't know what to estimate. But the things are changing. This is what we know for sure. And finally, there is a demographic and societal change. What means that people live longer. I think if you fall back 20, 30 years, if you had a grandma who has 80 years old, it was really exceptional. Really exceptional if someone was living up to 80 years old. Today, we see that people in their 80s, in their 90s, are living independently. I think you read the news a couple of days ago that Prince Philip from UK is 98 years old and driving himself a car. How he is driving is a second question. But anyway, he is driving independently car. 98 years old person. Excellent. We all like to drive a car when we are 98 years old. So this is also a challenge for the cities because people want to live independently, they live older. So this means that we need to provide the infrastructure enabling independent living for them. Also, families are smaller, people having less children. My grandma had in her family 8 children. My grandpa had 11 children. I have a sister. I have 3 sons, getting better. But anyway, the change in the family size is changing when people are getting better, getting wealthier, so they don't want to spend anymore that much money to have so many children, but also healthcare is much better, so most of the people who have born will also stay alive. And finally, there is a technology that is changing pretty rapidly. So there is a lot of new ways how to produce energy, a new communication means, internet, any other means of communication, and finally there is an artificial intelligence, blockchain, and all this blah 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 that is currently hype. But anyway, this technology is enabling us to change the life of citizens, enabling us to change the life of all those 7.7 billion people who are globally together with us in our planet. So what are the challenges for the cities? First of all, cities must build the infrastructure to accommodate all those people, all those almost 70% of global population who are living in the cities. So this means roads, it means electricity networks, it means water and sanitation, and also including soft infrastructure like schools, healthcare, social care, and all this stuff. So how to build it in a way that it's smart enough, it is sufficient enough, it's a big question. Maybe you don't know, but every week, globally, 1.5 million people are moving from rural areas to the cities. So you can imagine that Estonian population is 1.3 million people. So this means that every week, the population of Estonia is moving from rural areas to the cities globally. Okay, it's hectically spread globally, but anyway, you can imagine what is the pressure for the city infrastructure if there is such a big number of people moving from rural areas to the cities every week. They need to have roads, they want to have housing, they want to have electricity, they want to have internet connectivity. Okay, most probably from those 1.5 million people, only very small part is moving in by having already having affordable housing, electricity, internet, water and sanitation. Most of them move to the cities illegally. First of all, most probably moving to suburbs, what mostly look like ghettos, not that much civilized city parts. But anyway, it's a burden for the cities, so it's a huge challenge how to provide relevant infrastructure for the citizens. Secondly, there is a huge need for energy saving. Mostly, we have calculated, and it's from global statistics, that cities are spending almost 30% of their annual operational costs to energy. It's mostly electricity, but also heating in Nordic countries and cooling in southern countries. So it's a huge saving. If you can save at least 1% of energy in the cities, it is already a huge saving for the city budget also. Security. Maybe in our area we don't think very much that security is an issue, but in many big cities the security is a huge, huge issue. How to keep the cities safe. And as Lauri said earlier, it's really important for the citizens that you live in secure atmosphere. You can walk freely 24/7 around the city. You can send your kids out to the park to play. They can go independently to school. So it's all very important for the citizens if they are considering one or another city as an option to stay there with their family. And finally, independent living. As people live longer, they want to live independently. At least in northern part of the world, people want to live independently already from pretty early age, and the traditional family model where elders are taking care about children, grandchildren, it's not working anymore here. So people want to live independently, but this also means that we need to provide them housing what allows them to live independently. There should be probably broad doors where you can stroll in with your wheelchair. There should be an elevator. There should be zero access to every room and every building, and so on and so on. So this is also a challenge for the cities, how to do it better, how to use also better technology. And finally, mobility issues. All those citizens who are living in the cities must commute on a daily basis. And I'm happy next speakers will stop on this point more. But anyway, there is a huge challenge how to organize a mass transportation every day into cities, to move all those millions from one point to another, and actually not only from one point to another, but in organized manner so people can reach easily their workplaces, their schools, and their living places. So how to organize mass transport and move people from their cars to the public transport is a huge question for the cities. I'm planning to show a video, but it's not probably working. Oh, it's working, wow. So take a look how the public transportation with help of artificial intelligence may look in the future. Isn't it a little bit scary how all those things are organized without traffic lights? There is some music even in the background, yeah. So most probably if we have artificial intelligence, what is helping us to organize better traffic and self-driving cars, what are smart enough, the future may look like as this in this actual model. Well, now opportunities for the startups. So the first picture opportunity for the startups is that there are endless number of cities globally, and all of them facing more or less similar problems. So it's a huge opportunity for you to develop a products that you can scale up globally. And there is an almost endless market from the cities. Secondly, even if you can fix small problem in the city, it's a huge political win for the city politicians, and they are very happy to promote it. If you fix road crossing somehow, put more whatever LED lights if someone is approaching the street crossing, they are happy to promote it. So you can get a lot of publicity if you can do such a small things, however. And definitely, it's always advised to propose you a solution as an experiment. Why I'm saying it in a way, and going to the next slides, what are the challenges actually, cities want to experiment, but to buy something, it's the next question. Actually clarifying what Lauri said earlier, that how Tartu started mobile parking, it was not in the way that citizens were demanding that provide us mobile parking. Actually, the technology company, the mobile operator, came to us, and I was working as a deputy mayor in the city in those years, and telling us, listen guys, we have this kind of solution as an experiment. Can we try it here? We said, okay, let's start. We agreed how to share the costs, or actually revenue, and we said, okay, let's go. And it looks like everyone wants to use it. And it was really great win for us as a city, because we didn't need to put those paying machines in every parking slot or around the city. So it was like win-win situation. So sometimes things are happening just as an experiment. But there are also challenges. If you think how to approach the city government, you just go into a town hall, and there is like 2,000 people working. Who's the right guy? You go to a mayor, He says, yes, very interesting. Yeah, probably the department will deal with it. Then you go to department, but it's the head of department. Yes, very interesting. You try to find someone who is interested. We call you back. So you need to find someone who is interested, really. The right guy, you solve his problem. Like Evgeny Kabanov said in another stage, if I'm thinking about market, I need to find a guy whose problem I'm solving. Finally, also how to move from experiment to a contract. Cities are eager to experiment, but when it's becoming to a contract, they say, oh, we have a procurement rules, you know. We need to organize a procurement, it takes 2 years. So you need to think also jointly with them, collaborate how to go all through those bureaucratic processes and really move from experiment to a product they are willing to pay for. And finally, 2 words about SmartCityLab, where I'm working. It's a cluster and cooperation environment between cities, companies, universities, and what we do, we're jointly trying to figure out what are the right products. What is the bottleneck? We're trying to understand together with companies and cities through a brainstorming, what is actually the problem, what is the bottleneck, how to find the ideas, how to solve it, what would be the right solution, what is the prototype, experimenting. Maybe Tartu is the first client or any other Estonian city, and then the company can fly and go to the global market. And we have done several pilots. Some of them were successful, some of them were failing, but anyway, they were very interesting, and you can just see them here. And finally, just a sample from very easy experiment, what we did with MobileLab. They developed a mobile app with bus schedules and connected to the actual street information, how the buses are moving. And to download it, they just put the stickers to the bus stops with NFC stickers and QR codes, so everyone can download it. And it was really successful. The app was easily appreciated by the citizens, and every day thousands of people are using it. So thank you very much. Keep going, keep trying with the city officials. They are actually good people, but they have just limited power to make the decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannes.
Thank you.
I'm going to torture you with some questions.
Oh, yeah, you're bringing me money, I see. There is a street bag there.
Yeah, we need faster roads to our office, please. So, my question is, you know, you talked about all these things that you have achieved with the SmartCityLab and about the potential that is out there. But what makes you especially proud? What are, you know, this one thing that you're especially proud about Smart City in Tartu?
I think what is great in Tartu, but there is a really good collaboration between city and startups and also more mature companies. So doors are open here, and we are like a middleman. If there is we're trying to understand what is the problem in the city to solve, and we are like also bridging the companies. And city government is very open, so we are figuring out who is the right guy, setting up a workshop, trying to understand what is the problem, and solve it, go to prototype, and go fast forward. So this is a great atmosphere here, and I hope that any other city can have something similar. But you need to have right people. It's the right constellation should be in place.
Yeah, now I get it, you know. He was asking, like, do I have money in the bag? I'm a startup founder, so usually these guys come to you with this bag, and then you say, okay, yeah, I want to work with you, let's do something smart. Okay, that was a bad joke, but just a black one, right?
I appreciate it.
But still, you know, is there a city or some place on this little earth of ours that you really look up at? Like, you know, this is what I would like to experience here in Tartu. Something futuristic maybe, where you have been.
Well, there's a lot of things, but sometimes simple things are even better than too heavy technologies. It's always great to navigate with whatever app and having like everything moving smoothly, and you can, you know, have like mobility as service. So you buy one ticket and you can move from Tartu to New York and further to Rio de Janeiro with one ticket. It will be great, definitely. But finally, the most important that the simple things are in place, so you can find a good pub and have good food in a couple of years.
Aha. So, what will happen if we switched off internet in Tartu?
Sorry?
What will happen when we switched off the internet in Tartu?
People go to pubs and do not compute anymore and talk to each other. Estonians are very shy actually, that's why they invented Skype actually. It's not usual, I'm talking to this lady and telling her I love you. I better send a message in Skype. I may love you.
One day, maybe.
One day, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy for Estonians to have eye contact. But,
and say,
but
I like you.
Finns are even worse. They invented SMS service.
Oh God.
And it's actually, yeah.
So we should actually go to Bob, forget about, smartness, and just, relax, have fun, talk to each other.
And best ideas are happening there. So it's taking you back to innovation.
So
but the only thing is, you need to write down what you were talking, because in the morning it might be gone already from your head.
I have my notes with me, so I don't know what that says about me. Thank you, Hannes.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you.